Hello, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And we are waiting for other participants, but until that time, we can rename our names. And please, you can see your paper ID and the program schedule. Just copy the last 3 digits of your paper ID with your first name and rename your name that we may know you are available online. Go to your name and rename it. If you can go to your name and click on your name, and then you will see the 3 spots and the 3 black dots, and then you can rename from there. Yeah, good. I can see some of you already renamed it. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. 2 more names I can see still without the paper IDs. Nikita Verma. Can you please rename your name with the paper ID? And Nasrin Muhammadi. Thank you. Amela, can you hear me? Amalia.
Hello, good morning. Good day. Yes po, sir. Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Yeah, please rename your name with the last 3 digits of your paper ID. What's your paper ID? I can do that for you, Amalia. Rosiana, can you please rename your name with the paper ID, the last 3 digits of your paper ID? As you can see, others have already renamed their names. Thank you. Yes, thanks. Okay, soon we will start our session. We are waiting for other participants, and some of the participants already sent their video PPTs. So we will upload it to our YouTube channel. Later, I will share the channel link. Okay. So it's the time for the session. And if others want to join us, they can join us later. And I can see all the participants already renamed their name except Mira. Mira, can you hear me? Please rename your name with the last 3 digits of your paper ID. As others have done, you can see on the screen. Thank you. Okay, so now it's time for the session, and warm welcome to all to this conference, Asian Conference on Humanities, Arts and Social Studies, that is organized by International Institute of Academic Research and Publication, known as IIARP. I am Dr. Shakir and the coordinator for this conference. And I hope all the participants already got the program schedule and other instructions for this online session. And it is to be noted that each presentation will have 10 minutes and extra 5 minutes for question and answers for each participant. And after the completion of all the presentations, we will have a question and answer session. And you can ask questions from the participants, from the session chair and coordinator and the organizing committee, or if you have any other suggestions, we will have this in Q&A session. And I also want to mention that those who already sent their video PPTs, they do not need to play it here on Zoom, and we will upload it to our YouTube channel. And later on, I will share the links in the chat box. You can visit our YouTube channel to watch it. But there may be some participants who still want to present live on Zoom because their universities or their organization may need them to present it online. So if you really need to present online, you can come to share your screen and present it online. And I welcome our session chair, Professor Dr. Mike Ali from Chujing Normal University, China. Professor Ali will assess and evaluate every live presentation in this session. So on the basis of his assessment, the best presenter will get an award in the form of certificates. And the assessment criteria is quite simple. They include, but not limited to, the points such as the best paper, the good presentation skills, time management skills, and how the presenter attract the audience, the good impression on the audience, and many more other aspects. So now I invite Professor Ali to have a starting remarks, and after that I will introduce you with a short PPT to IIARP that you may know a little bit about this organization. So Professor Ali, are you available?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Shakir. Yes, I'm here, and I should say welcome to all of you to our conference about Asia Conference on Humanities and Arts and Social Sciences. So I should say welcome to all of you. Thank you to be here. So in the beginning, everyone, I will just say the name of the number of the article you have to present, and in the end of all sessions, we will have Q&A session in which you can ask questions. So before we start, I think I have to ask Dr. Shakir to introduce our, like give you some overview about our conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'm sharing my screen and let you introduce with the IIARP about this organization who organized this event. Let me share my screen. Is it visible to everyone?
Yes, sir. We can see your screen.
Thank you. Okay, so this is International Institute of Academic Research and Publication, known as IIARP, based in India. And IIARP is a conglomeration of academic professionals for the promotion of research and innovation, creating a global footprint. And IIARP aim to bring together worldwide researchers and professionals to encourage intellectual development and providing opportunities for networking and collaboration. This association, this organization is actively involved in academic networking, meetings, conferences, workshops, projects, research, publication, academic awards, scholarships, and many more academic and other activities. So what IIARP basically do? The first thing, we focus on knowledge, and our main objective is to attract researchers from different fields, academic fields, to share their knowledge and scientific breakthroughs to wide audience under one roof. Under one roof include both in-person, online, as well as online conferences, session, and workshops. We also focusing on sharing, because sharing knowledge is important, and we deeply believe that sharing information and staying up to date is a key towards success. And we can do all this through our session in academic and other activities. We also focus to promote networking for the scholars. And sometimes why networking is important, because sometimes we lose time while looking for the solution that others have already found. So we can share all those solutions and knowledge with each other in conferences, workshop, and many other activities. So basically, in conclusion, in summary, what we do, what IIARP do, is involved in world-class networking, international and national conferences, and publication in journals, international peer review, Scopus, Web of Science, and many other impact factor journals. As you can see, and you may know, that IIARP is a well-known organization for organizing scientific and academic international and national conferences in East Asian countries such as Malaysia, Thailand, Japan, Indonesia, India, and Singapore, UAE, Sri Lanka, Philippines, Bangladesh, Russia, Nepal, Egypt, Nigeria, US, and many more other countries around the world. Yeah, we do organize conferences in different countries. And these are some of our associates, that is EPRF and F1000. Our publications are supported by F1000 Research, that is a journal of Taylor and Francis. and our media partner is Conference Alert 360. So participating in our conferences, the participants can have opportunities, publication opportunities, and you can opt for publishing your abstract as a proceeding in F1000 research. Later, I will explain what is F1000 research, and your abstract will get DOI and ISSN number. And the authors or the participant can publish their extended abstract or e-poster presentations, lecture notes, slides with a DOI in the conference proceeding. And you can also opt for publishing your manuscript with a DOI in a peer review international Google Scholar Index journal or Douge Index journal. And we also provide opportunities to publish your paper, your manuscript in Scopus and Web of Science journals. And we highly recommend the participant to publish their manuscript in F1000 research. F1000 research is an open access Q1, Scopus Q1 index journal. And later on, I will explain how it works. It's quite easy to publish in F1000 research. F1000 research, as I said, is a Journal of Taylor and Francis, and IIARP is associated with this journal through IIARP Publication Gateway. What is the Gateway? It is an open access research publication hub that is dedicated to publishing research rapidly, quickly, in a more transparent manner. How it works, you can see. And you know that most of the traditional journals publish articles after they pass through a long peer review process, and it takes months or even years. And sometimes you may get rejections after 8 months or 9 months, or after even I experienced 15 months, especially in social sciences. And it can delay your research progress, and it can be quite frustrating. But on the other hand, F1000 research is a Q1 journal, published your manuscript very quickly, and it happened after a quick check, in-house check, and it can take an average time like 15 days. So first, your manuscript will be reviewed by journal's editorial team, and then after, if it has no problems, it will be published. And after the publication, you will be invited to suggest 5 reviewers related to your paper. And after publication, you can invite the reviewers, and the reviewers will review your manuscript, and it will be reviewed. So you can see the process. You submit your paper, your manuscript, and you will also need to submit the data associated with your manuscript. For example, you have conducted your research regarding some social science topics, and you have the fieldwork notes, interview, and other data associated with your manuscripts. You need to publish that data in a repository, research repository. And then your paper will be checked, in-house check, and after 15 or 20 days, it will be published. And then your article will go through the revision process. You will invite reviewers, and the reviewer check. Then you submit the revised version, and reviewer will check whether it fulfilled the criteria and it has been improved or not. So after being improved, it means it's now prepare for indexing in Scopus. You can see this process. This is an example of article. If the reviewer, after publication, 2 of the reviewers out of 3 or 4 reviewers just approved it, that now it has been improved by the authors or the researchers, it means now your paper is able to be indexed in Scopus. You can see different statuses of your paper: approved, approved with the reservation, not approved. So if 2 of the reviewers approved it, you will see the tick marks here in the reviewer's status. And if it has 2 tick marks with approved status, it means now it's able to be sent to the Scopus for indexing. But there are some criteria for publishing in this F1000 research. The first criteria is that it will go through the in-house checking, and it need to be an original research, not plagiarized. More than 30% plagiarism is not accepted in this journal. And at least one of the author of this manuscript need to be a qualified researcher, that having PhD or something like that. And it must be in English. And there need to be an ethical statement, your research need to follow ethical guidelines. And yeah, there should be an ethical statement in your paper. If someone is interested and serious to publish in this journal, we will guide you what is all these things, and how can we put it in your manuscript, and how can we follow all these things. And you need to invite the reviewers. The reviewers need to be related to your area of research. For example, if your paper is related to medical public health, you cannot invite reviewers from criminology or other field. It's not possible. So you need to invite relevant 5 reviewers and suggest it to the journal that they may be invited to review your manuscript. And you need to publish data, the data associated with your manuscript. Every manuscript is based on some data. For example, an SPSS file, or your interview schedule, or questionnaire, or all other things that are the base of your manuscript need to be published in a research or other repositories. All these things are quite easy. If you are serious, interested, we can guide you to how to publish in F1000 research through IIARP gateway. Yeah. So that's quite easy. What I mean that other journals, you need to go through long peer review process, and sometime after first or second round review, your paper will get rejection. But in F1000 research, your paper will be published first and then peer review. So you can invite the relevant reviewers by yourself. Everything is an author-oriented process. Author need to provide the reviewers, and author need to handle all the process. So it is a kind of author-oriented model, not like other traditional journals. Yes, so if you are interested to submit to this journal, our team will be available to assist you in the whole process. And these are some of the past Scopus publication by IIARP. These are some examples. We published a lot, and we are publishing a lot in Scopus, Web of Science, AHCI, and many other good database or index journals. These are some of the glimpses of our past conferences highlights, and you can visit our website www.iiarp.org for exploring more about this organization. Yeah, these are some of the glimpses, highlights for the online conferences Thank you so much. And if you have any question about IIARP and about publishing F1000 research or publishing in other journals, you can ask me in our Q&A session in this online session. And I hope you got something from this presentation about IARP, that what is IARP and what we do. Thank you so much. And now we will proceed to our session. So I will invite our session chair to call every participant name, paper ID, the paper title, and you will need to share your screen and just limit your presentation to 10 minutes that we may finish it on time. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Dr. Shakir. Now we're gonna move and proceed. Before we start, I should tell you some instructions. The first thing is I will say that paper ID. If you're available, you have to proceed and share your screens with others. So the first paper ID is on my screen is 402. 402. Sandra, are you available?
What's the paper title, please? What's the paper title?
Dr. Shakir, the paper title is Greening the Perennial School's Economic and Social Impact Variation of the Transformation of Elementary Schools Infrastructure.
Sandra Homan, are you available? Paper ID 402. It seemed to be absent. Okay, please move to the
Okay.
next.
Thank you, sir. So the next paper ID is 409. 409. A comparative contextual analysis on the presentation. Are you available? Paper ID 409.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna share my
Okay.
screen now. Let me know if
Thank you. Please proceed.
Good day, everyone. I am Faye Corpus, a student researcher from Lyceum of the Philippines University. Today, I'll be presenting a research paper entitled Bala o Hostisya, a comparative contextual analysis on the representation of the extrajudicial killings in selected Filipino narrative films. So, in accordance with SHERAC, films are created as a definitive response to occurring social problem in one society. It can reflect both past and present societal issues of the nation. So, in this study, selected EJK-related narrative films were analyzed to depict the representation of extrajudicial killings in their respective genres. The films analyzed are Neo Manila by Michael Red, Baybas by Eric Mati, and Respeto by Treb Monteras. So these films are classified as narrative films since the plot in film narratives are based on the representation of one's event. And in this case, the extrajudicial killings of former President Duterte's war on drugs campaign. On the other hand, Hofileño discussed the EJK-related themes under the regime of President Duterte was made due to the temporary relief it impacted the Philippine cinema, since it recognized the social and political conflict of the nation. This study determined the response of the Philippine film cinema to the societal issues of EJK and the representation of EJK-related films in their respective genres, whether it represents the injustices among the victims or the number of bullets it occurred during the war on drugs campaign, hence Bala o Hostisya. Moving forward to the significance of the study, the following are the group that will benefit from this study. First are the Filipino youth, since the aim of this study is to educate and raise awareness regarding the topic of EJK that happened during the regime of President Duterte. Second are the film enthusiasts and viewers, to be more critical of watching films as they read between the lines of the film narratives. Third are the future filmmakers that will make progressive films and offer creative solution in light of this issue. Fourth are the future researchers that might want to make an in-depth study and research regarding this topic. And lastly are the families of the EJK victims, as we acknowledge the representation of the victim in the EJK-related films and bring light to the topic of EJK. For the rationale, first is to identify the representation in the common themes used of EJK under the film genres of selected EJK-related films. Second is to analyze the mise-en-scene's aesthetics and configuration used in the genres of the EJK films. Lastly is to have an understanding that some of the EJK-related films can be the representation for the voiceless. Moving forward to the research question, this study aims to determine the main question of the research: what are the representation of the chosen EJK-related films in their respective genre? And in line of the research question is an attempt to answer the following sub-questions by gathering information from the selected EJK-related narrative films. First sub-question is what are the mise-en-scenes, configuration, and aesthetics used in the scenes in the EJK-related narrative films. Second sub-question is what are the common themes in the representation of the EJK-related narrative films. For this study scope and limitation, this study only focused on the EJK-related films that were made locally and were released under Duterte's regime. And this study only focused on the 3 selected films that were also chosen to be featured during the 17th New York Asian Film Festival that showcases a lot of films that heavily tackles societal issues of one's nation. So these films are Eric Matis Baybast, Michael Red's Neo Manila, and Treb Montera's Respeto. As for the conceptual framework of this study, since this is a comparative contextual analysis, it focuses on the 3 films Baybast, Neo Manila, and Respeto, and the main objective of this study is to identify the representation of EJK through the mise-en-scenes. The mise-en-scenes were divided into 2 parts: the aesthetics that tackles the cinematic techniques of the film, and the configuration part where it tackled the genre conventions per film. So first is the aesthetics. This study identified the cinematic technique adopted from Sri Kumar, the decor, lighting, space, costumes, and acting, and moving forward to the configuration part, where the study used the genre film theory to identify the genres of the film. Under this genre film theory are the genres action, crime and thriller, society and war, and drama. And below this, the genre convention, the location, the catalyst, the avatars, and the level of conflicts. And just to clarify, the genre conventions are the factors in identifying the different genres used. Because in every genre, there are different treatment per film. So these genres were classified by the filmmakers themselves, and the researchers have used the contextual analysis to validate the content of the configuration of the genre conventions of the selected films. And as you can see that the level of conflicts is related to the conflict theory, which is one of the theories this study used aside from genre film theory. And under this section are the assumption theories adopted from Karl Marx from his theory, conflict theory, and there are below this is the 4 assumptions of conflict theory that are the war, structural inequality, and competition, which are the indicators of the level of conflict. So the first theory is genre film theory. This was used to analyze the aesthetic and technicalities of the film. There are many film scholars that tackled this theory, and this study makes use of Stephen Neal's insights regarding genre film theory, where he mentioned that films have instances of repetition and differences. So this means that films will have the same genre, but at the same time have differences in order to still be distinguishable. So it will catch the audience attention. He mentioned that in order to identify the genre of these films, there should be an analysis on the technicalities of the film, such as the decor, lighting, and color theory, and the likes. So second theory is the conflict theory. This was devised by Karl Marx, and he describes that conflict occurs when there's a limited amount of resources for a community. He also wanted to identify what mainly causes conflict, which results in the following assumptions: the competition, structural inequality, and war. So this theory was used to identify and categorize the representation of the films regarding EJK and the conflict that occurs in the films. The data information were gathered through the method of comparative contextual analysis. This was presented by a screenshot of the specific scenes along with the timestamp and description of its context per films. So the data was compiled through information observation, and also a comparison to real-life EJK events was also conducted. So as per the mise-en-scene, the configuration in the genres of thriller, and Crime, Society in War was based on the genre conventions adopted from Coyne from his book The Story Grid. While Hellerman, the genre convention of drama, is adopted from his article from the Exploring the Drama Genre in Film and Television. The Song of Sparrows of Sri Kumar's list of Miss Anson's code was also used in the study. So the researchers' code matrix use this as a method to identify the cinematic techniques that is used in the EJK related narrative films, such as the decor, lighting, space, costumes, and acting. As these five factors can help in the development of the narratives and the elements that can be conveyed through the audience cinematic experience. While yours assessment of the image of Nigerian police in Bloody Night and Open Through 2017 and Westerback's police brutality, over policing, and mass incarceration in African American film 2019, these films examines the role of the police and police brutality in the paper selected films as follows: the conspiracy and cover up, torture and extrajudicial killings, corruption, police brutality, and social class inequality. And each of these elements has its own characteristics to provide the researchers with a further foundation for analyzing the three chosen films. Moving forward to the ethical discussion, the researchers scrutinize the details of the film through their cinematic techniques and context. The following are the ethical issues that the researchers has foreseen in conducting this study. First is that the researchers pledge not to be biased and simply discuss the findings and data from the content and contextual analysis of the three chosen EJK-related films. Second is the researchers did not tolerate any form of political propaganda and only discuss relevant topics and the scope of this study. Lastly, the researchers maintained ethical professionalism and credibility as researchers. Moving forward to the results and discussion of this study, the results of the EJK in the films were represented by Dermis and Sons. Configuration, the tackles the genre convention, the common themes,
Sorry
and
for interruption. You have
tackles
two more
thematic
minutes, okay?
film. So the first part of the result is regarding the common themes of the three chosen films. So the first common conflict theme is structural inequality, and its indicators are social class inequality and corruption. Second common conflict theme is competition, and its indicators are conspiracy and cover up. And the last common conflict theme is war, and its indicators are torture and extrajudicial killings and police brutality. So the conflicts determine the indicators based on the results and findings of this study. Second part of the results and discussion of this study is the mise-en-scène configuration that tackled the genre convention. So the findings of the paper have found that each film falls into similar genres based on the codes and themes from the methodology of this paper and determining the narratives of each film. So the genre convention of the film similarly fall under the genre of society in war, drama, crime, and war and crime thriller, which are similar in the portrayal of the catalyst and avatars in the EJK related films. So the location and the settings, on the other hand, of the three films takes place in the slums of Manila, where the extrajudicial killings representation in the film narratives occurred. The next discussion are the results of the mise-en-scènes, aesthetics that tackle the cinematic techniques of the films. So the filmmakers created films to employ a specific approach to enhance the meaning and message of specific subjects and genres. So the decor evokes the ambience of the films, real life events, and it concentrates mostly on Manila slums, giving the idea to the audience that it takes place in a typical EJK setting. A film setting costumes and acting are employed to provide a more in-depth feel for what the character is given in a role or in a film by how they move, behave, and justify a certain role that is allocated to them. So this is not really relevant in all films because it only provides a greater understanding of a certain moment in a film narrative. So overall, the aesthetics and cinematic techniques are only a component of the film, but not all of them can really depict a real life event because the bulk of them simply provide an atmosphere and filter to the role and material use. So, therefore, the overall conclusion of this study, the depiction of extrajudicial killings in the Philippines in the film industry has become rampant and common since former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte's war on drugs campaign occurred in the country. So the real-life EJK event was conveyed visually through the use of cinematic techniques and aesthetics, such as the decor, lighting, space, costumes, and acting. So they were portrayed by using the mise-en-scène aesthetics and cinematic techniques. And when it comes to genres and genre convention, they tend to establish the tone for how the film will be perceived all throughout the film. So it depicts how characters might appear in a specific film. The use also of the appropriate aesthetics has a significant impact on the viewers since it serves as a roadmap for how the picture will unfold all throughout the film narratives. So, in line with the findings of this study, filming these types of films can be a way of communicating for us to be conscious and share the message that will act as a voice for the voiceless. I just want to say thank you so much for listening and say that mabuhay ang pelikulang Pilipino, mabuhay ang mga Pilipino. Maraming maraming salamat po.
Well, thanks for your presentation. It was very knowledgeable and about the extrajudicial killing and filming all these things. It was really knowledgeable. I learned a lot of new things. Now it's time to invite a next presenter, which Twitter ID is 417. Self-esteem and academic helplessness. The presenter is not Ria Kim. If you're available, please proceed and share.
417 is a video PPT and I think is not available. 417, so we can move to the next one.
Thank you, Dr. Shakir. So the next Twitter ID is 422. Awareness and Enrollment of Services of Solo Parents as provided in the Republic Act. If you're available, please proceed. Amelia, thank you.
Four two two, paper ID 422. Amalia, are you available?
Yes, sir. And currently, I am attending the Zoom. My presentation because I have a limitation on my
Sorry,
connectivity.
your internet has a problem.
I have sent all
Please share your screen. Please share your screen. Your internet, your connection has problem. Please share your screen and refresh your internet connection. Hello? Hello? Amalia, can you hear me? Hello? Amalia, can you hear me? Sorry, we have to move to the next presenter if you are not able to present live, and you can correct your connection and come later. Is that possible? Amalia? Am I audible? Hello? Oh. Hello? You're not audible, Amalia. Can you please check your inbox? Hello? Please check the chat box. Okay, Professor. So I think we can move to the next presenter and we will see later if she can be connected to the internet.
Well, thank you, Dr. Shakir. Yes, you can come back when she just fixed everything. Now, the next paper is 423, Navigating Legal Challenges of Deepfakes in American Context. Here is
423 is a video presenter. Already sent a video PPT. Please, the next one.
Thank you, Dr. Shakir. The next one is 431, School Education in Delhi, Ideas, Structures, and Institutions. The presenter is Nikita Verma. If you're available, please share your screen and proceed.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I'm available.
Yeah, please share your screen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I'm just sharing. One second. It's. Hello. Just a minute. Just a minute.
What's the problem? Can you please share your screen? You're muted. You are muted.
Sir, I'm sharing the screen.
Okay, please.
Is it visible?
Yeah, it's visible.
Shall I start, sir?
Yes, please proceed.
Hello.
Please
Am I
proceed.
audible?
Yes.
Video. Good morning, everyone. Hello.
Yes,
Am I
yes, please,
audible?
please.
Good morning, everyone. Myself, Nikita. Screen पे लाओ ना।
It's visible. There is no problem, I think.
उसको ऐसे कर दे, ऐसे शेयर कर दे। शेयर हो चुका है तो हमको स्क्रीन दिखा के बोल रहा होगा ना, आगे नहीं बढ़ रहा है। मतलब बोलो चल रहा है कहाँ से यार, तुम अपने प्रेजेंटेशन पे जाओ ना। क्या खोल रहे हो?
May I know, please, what's the problem?
सब क्या पता खोल रहे हो? मैं
If you have problem, can you please share your PPT? I can share it from here and you can read from the screen.
हाँ, how can I share it? बेल बज रहा है। हाँ, good morning, sir. Am I audible finally?
Yes, please proceed, please.
Myself Nikita Verma, an ICHAS doctoral fellow, currently pursuing my PhD from Department of received my bachelor's as well as master's degree from Daulat Ram College, Delhi University, and I've also received degree in Archives and Record Management from National Archives of India, Ministry of Culture. Currently, I'm working on the school education. So basically, my topic is school education in Delhi, and my time period. The main focus of my paper is my time period, that is 1835 to 1910. This time period is very important. So during the Mughal period, Delhi was important center of learning because of its strategic importance as well as political center of the country. British East India Company captured the Delhi in the year 1803. Like in other parts of the country, company wanted to promote education to meet its requirement, running the company administration. Changes in the institutions were undertaken by the colonial state. So I am in the context of the broader discussion pertaining to the state policies and structure of the education that evolved. I will also study the concern of the specific marginalized group. Still, it would be different from an isolated study of the education of depressed class, women, and Muslim in Delhi. So therefore, I will take up each selected policies and discourse around it as a major landmark in the history of education in Delhi, as well as within its framework. So I will try to explore the questions pertaining to both the specific concern of communities and classes at one hand and overall apparatus on the other hand. I have chosen the time period 1835 to 1910 because it was historical very important. In other words, 1835 and 1910 constitute two important landmarks in the history of education in India as well as in the Delhi. In the decade of 1830s, the famous Mockley Minute of Education came into existence, which completely changed the scenario of the education system. The first decade of 20th century witnessed various events like transfer of capital in 1911, the provincial autonomy with regard to education given to 1919 Act. So both this time period is very important. As far as the objective of my research paper is concerned, the first objective of my research paper is to probe the motivations and intention of the government and other agencies behind the opening of schools in Delhi. The second objective of the proposed research is to explore the answer of many significant historical questions, particularly with regard to the role of community, local gentry, and common people, and their social outlook perceptions about education with special reference to women, depressed class, and Muslims. The third objective of the proposed study to examine the aspects of continuity and change over this period in this sphere of education. As far as the research questions is concerned, it was behind what was their politics. Was it also come some extent driven by the pressure of the demand of the local people? Was it what was the nature of the indigenous demand, which of the demand and to what extent and in what manner were accepted by the government? Whose demand were mattered and where it pulled its hand away? Was the limitation of the sources argument applied in the equitable manner? How these dynamics impacted upon the policy structure of education and expansion, its quality, language, and curricular language in Delhi. As far as the literature review is concerned, I have taken all the revisionist historians, traditional historians, as well as the historical of modern education from the wide of the national historian student. In fact, most of the work on the theme of history of education in Delhi have focused either on the certain intellectual traditions such as missionary education. For example, certain pre-minority period institutions at Delhi College, St. Stephen's College, Jamia Millia Islamia, and their personalities were associated with them. Therefore, the literature review presented in this section will be a broad survey of historiography on this theme of education of modern India. But these historians assume certain characteristic features of modern colonial Western education in order to explain certain other historical developments, including these works in this reviews essential in our present task because it gives some important clues about how the impact and nature of Western style of education were perceived and publicized by historians and others. Similarly, there is a large body of scholarship on the role and agency of Christian missionaries, as I told you earlier, in the dissemination of the Western style of modern education in India. However, most of the focus is on the parts of the country, and there is need to see the experience of Delhi in the period of 1835 to 1910. Some historians have also focused on the growth of revivalism and communalism in the education in their case studies pertaining to areas like NWP and Awadh, Bihar, central provinces and institutions. However, we will not do to understand the monograph of Delhi for the period proposed here for the research. Some of the great historians which work on the Delhi education are Sujit Siv Sundaram, Sanjay Seth, Parinit Sethi, Margaret Parnew, Tanika Sarkar, Philip Constantinople. But some of the major historical shifts in the study on the Christian education were seen in this period. So for that particular thing, Francis Robinson, Aparna Basu, JP Nayak, Krishna Kumar, Kenneth W. Jones, Neeta Kumar, Barbara Delhi Metcalf, Sabhyasi Bhattacharya, all have done impeccable work done in this area. The paper focuses on the history of education in Delhi, starting from the 1830s up to the first decade of 20th century. Attempt has been made to provide a descriptive account of major policies all institutions founded and or continued during this period and involvement of different agencies as providers and recipients. The main focus on ideological impetus of education, role of state, communities and agencies. The two major points need to be discussed here. The first one deals with the educational acts and the policies of the period concerned, and the second on the development taking place in Delhi for the period concerned. The second section of the paper focuses on the nature of curricular knowledge in colonial India as mainly represented in textbooks, ideology of ruling regime and its interest in playing crucial role in designing the curriculum and then production of textbooks. Here, attempt is being made to understand how the production of textbooks received importance from the government and structure developed to deliver textbooks. It takes into account various government measures pertaining to development and delivery of textbooks with specific focus on Delhi. Interesting point to be noted here is that how local intelligence became part of this process to help the government in its mission to educate the local people. The third section discusses the issues related to educational participations among women, depressed class in Delhi. It has been contextualized as a starting point or background within the discussion of the larger all India picture in the period of from 19th century. This present study seeks to explore the pattern of participation of girls and the depressed class in the school education and various reasons influencing their limited access to educational opportunities. Analyzing the gender nature of education restricting girls and marginalized groups, our focus will be educational history of women and depressed class in the Delhi, the period of understudied. The fourth section deals with the issues related to issues related to educational participation among the Muslims in Delhi. The main purpose of this chapter is to examine the claims of Muslim backwardness in education, the issues and the challenges impacting upon their participation and progress made during the period. The chapter consists of historical trends, Jaka Ullah on the role of education and the Muslim education in the Delhi. As far as the gap analysis is concerned, though the time span of 1835 to 1910 is very eventful period in the history of education in India as well as Delhi, the large range of sources available for the history, still the history of education of this period is under studied subject. So in the conclusion, I can say it is thus clear the colonial state and its Indian allies neither showed much attention towards the educational development nor tried to change the structure of education. The downward filtration framework continued to save educational reality at the ground, notwithstanding lofty policies, announcements, and minor expansions. The paper clearly reveals the discriminatory attitude of colonial government. Education of masses was never the agenda of them. On the hand of government side, they said they didn't have adequate capital and resource to invest in education. And on the other hand, so-called private English convent schools such as modern school were given handsome amount of the grant in aid and were provided patronage by the establishing school and hostels. Colonial government required some English-speaking clerks or so-called babu and the intermediate person who had the knowledge of English as well as local language, which helped them to making grip of British government throughout the country. For the fulfillment of this requirement, government restricted itself to giving grants to few schools like private school, missionary schools, etc. And some tokenistic measures of poor quality of the education of masses were taken. As far as the data collections were concerned, data will be collected using both primary as well as secondary sources. Archives like National Archives, I have concerned National Archives, Delhi State Archive, and Central Library. The most important Chief Commissioner series were very important in my paper analysis. Thank you. Open for the questions.
Thank you very much for your presentation about the colonial system and education system and its impacts. It was really knowledgeable. So we have to move to the next session. Next paper, the paper ID is 438, Family Life Management of Solo Parents. If you are available, please proceed.
Hello, good afternoon, good morning. I study entitled of Family Life Management. Hello, good afternoon again. I study entitled Family Life Management of Solo Parents. I'm Jessamine M. Persona, student of Universidad de Santa Isabel, Naga City, Camarines Sur, Philippines. Let's see. Okay. Abstract. This study aimed to understand family life of the solo parent falls under Republic Act 8972. Specifically, it sought to answer the following questions. What are the solo parents' experience in family life management? What are the problems encountered and the coping strategies employed by the participants? What intervention program may be proposed as a result of the findings of the study? The philosophy of graceful study were used to support this study. It made use of phenomenological research method to seek for the answers of the mentioned questions. The primary sources of data were the responses of the 10 solo parents under the categories of the Republic Act 8972. This phenomenological study explored the various stories and circumstances of solo parents in Naga City, Camarines Sur, showing their family life management categorized under family and moral management, financial management, and spiritual management. It specifically investigated the problems encountered and the coping strategies employed by the participants and from the results generated intervention program appropriate for the respondents. It was revealed that in terms of family and moral management, the respondents share similar experiences of physical, mental, and emotional stress in parenting with the demands of household tasks, problems in disciplining their children due to the behavioral issues in terms of financial management, All of the participants encounter economic difficulty associated with their lack of education and insubstantial source of income. There is, however, differences in the degree of social support received. Lastly, in the area of spiritual management, there is a dominant feeling of lack of spiritual uncertainties, weakening of faith, and a sense of dignity and self-worth. The major coping strategies identified in every aspect are the following. We're seeking support from the family and friends, engaging in livelihood, availing government aid, and strengthening self-love and increasing social engagement. An intervention was created based on the results of the study. The program aims to sustain solo parents through creating a well-planned group and individual intervention program that is responsive to their present needs and concerns. Description: ideally, a family can be described in many conformations. It does not define by who is in it, but rather by the relationship of those in it. Circumstances of family life and its relationship change the interaction of the people in a family, particularly the projection of parental figures that demonstrate proper behavior, a sense of responsibility, discipline, and respect among members who share emotional bonds, common values, goals, and responsibilities. Family members contribute significantly to the well-being of each other, which is vital to the mental growth, stability, and healthiness of the relationship among its members. Just like any relationship, family relationship also require constant nurturing, which is possible only by prompt and effective communication, spending quality time together, protecting, caring for each other, and providing emotional and other support. When a family includes children, one or more adults may take on an active role in the children's life and become a part of career. Nurturance of a good family relationship is significant in rearing a good child's life within and outside the home. As stated in Republic Act 8972, otherwise known as the Solo Parent Welfare Act of 2000, any solo parent in the Philippines whose income fall under the poverty threshold set by the National Economic Development Authority, NEDA, is given support as long as the concern has been assessed by the Department of Social Welfare and Development Office, DSWD, the primary government agency which carries out the implementation of the specified Republic Act, studied by Lopez and San Juan 2019. Furthermore, in the context of the Solo Parents Welfare Act of 2000, where the study has been anchored, solo parents go through many stresses, a combination of psychological, physical, and emotional anxieties. Administrative Order 86 of 2002 says that the loss of separation from a partner is an intensely painful experience and the grieving process cannot be ascertained. Moreover, an individual who holds any of the following is legally categorized as solo parent by Chan Robles, 2019, a woman who gives birth as a result of rape, an unmarried mother or father, any person who solely provides parental care to the child, any family member who assumes the responsibilities of the head of the family as a result of death and abandonment. Today is a computer age and the result of this generation of the rapid growth population of solo parent is one of the lives eminent. The circumstances faced by the solo parents are significant, seemingly supporting the children even as they struggle to meet the family's basic needs. The considerable hurdles of the stress of the solo parents in the raising the children and managing the family lead frustration, exhaustion, worrying about their future, and the sense of being dragged with a manifold of inclination associated with many difficulties of life. Moreover, involvement in crimes increase, resulting in lots of separation between men and women. On the contrary, with this globalization, solo parents participated actively in a broad range of experiences as the primary and essential building blocks of development, where solo parents play a crucial role in social. They bear the primary role and carry out the fundamental skills and responsibility for education, discipline, and adapting to the norms of the society of their children. The researcher vividly saw and experienced these situations firsthand during her visits. As such, the researcher had taken it upon herself to have individual interviews with solo parents, as it can be observed that they have different conditions in life and stories to tell in managing the family when they embark on the journey of becoming a solo parent and the sacrifices of their life. Also, studying the experiences of solo parents will impart understanding of solutions that lead to their engagement with family life. Moreover, learning about their details and partaking in this information may provide the parents actions and support to handle these situations with vigorous coping strategies. Furthermore, this study looked at the difficulties encountered in faced by respondents and explored the coping mechanism in handling their situations. Conclusions. What are the solo parents' experience in family life? First experience is family and moral management. Single parenting is becoming a problem because family dynamics can influence a child's life. It affects not only the child but the solo parents too. The stress from home is shown to affect the solo parent and children. Experience number two is financial management. Solo parents have encountered difficulties in their family life, both mental and physical challenges, especially when it comes to educational background and making financial decisions on a daily basis. The struggles they have faced and the hard work they put in to provide the best possible life for the family. Number three, experiences is spiritual management. The solo parents have been experiencing criticism from other people and suffering from spiritual doubt. Feeling overwhelmed, burdened, and stressed as the sole provider in the family, the level of life where solo parents go through a lot of challenges, doubt, guilt, and fear are part of being separated from God. Conclusions. Solo parents' experiences and family life managements are the following. The responses of the participants' families face the most important social institution whose primary role is crucially related to their experiences in managing family life in the aspect of family and moral management. All participants experience problems in parenting, upbringing of children because of the responsibilities, expectations, and disappointments. Also, the tiredness that we have in struggling that happens over days, weeks, and hours of working at home. The sole responsibility of all the solo parents responded is that the disturbance in everyday routine becomes a problematic being stress in adjusting to the challenges in the family life and the demand of parenting to perform all the tasks solely. It also shows that the most of them suffer from financial difficulties which cause them to pay utility bills, daily food consumptions, and make allowances for the children. Their budget sometimes need to be cut back for the family, so requires payment and prioritization needs in the aspect of financial management. Except for the participant 5, participant 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, and 10 experience educational impact. Relatively, typically, at the level of education from primary, secondary, and tertiary levels, the type of work of participant 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are all blue-collar jobs. The financial involvement of participants 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, except for participant 5, all experiences of a very minimal income affect the family's primary needs. All of the participants that affected their relationship with God expressed their frustrations about having challenging life experiences in spiritual management. All participants experienced criticism. Being a solo parent was also affected by the people around them, which hindered them from functioning as a parent. All participants experienced spiritual doubt and feeling helpless, which lead to feeling frustrated and come out with stress from the life they have been solo parent. A lot of challenges for financial, personal well-being, and child care that they are likely to experience a higher level of depression, anxiety, despite making extensive efforts to meet their obligations. Recommendation: participants have difficulties such as stress and depression in managing family life. The City Social Welfare and Development Office recommends and facilitates individual counseling, mainly the Solo Parents Federation Coordinator in Naga City, Camarines Sur. Through counseling, participants can express themselves by expressing their feelings and emotions, and it also helps them process individually. It is a confidential session between the participant and the City Social Welfare. Family session has also suggested a type of psychological counseling that will help each family member improve their communication and resolve conflicts. Each member's roles and functions are being assessed by the City Social Welfare. Awareness of managing a family to help cope with stress, improves concentration, generates empathy, and strengthens family life. To address the financial difficulties of the participants, a livelihood program is recommended for them by the City Social Welfare and Development Office, mainly the Solo Parent Federation Coordinator in Naga City, Camarines Sur. Their daily income, since many of the participants has low-paying job and individual session to help them identify factors to cope with the life events facilitated by the city social worker with the spiritual difficulties to join group retreats or to have spiritual uplift through group dynamics. Problem number 2, what are the problems encountered in the coping strategies employed by the participants? Conclusion, the common problems encountered by
Sorry,
the
you have
participants.
2 minutes more, so please be conclusive. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Conclusions, the common problem encountered by the parents are the following: discipline with children, solo parent responsibilities, lack of social support, educational impact, financial involvement, discrimination, spiritual doubt, and disciplines. Moreover, the negative judgment of the other people significantly impacts all the participants' confidence and self-esteem. Lastly, all participants had spiritual doubts that affected their purposeful in life. All participants see the family as the basic unit of social support and comfort in times of difficulty. Then all participants geared towards self-care and outlook in life and shared that they cope through activities that diverted their attention and took part in the social involvement in the community. The recommendation, the conduct of individual counseling family session is recommended to the participant to assess and strengthen their purpose in life. Livelihood programs to recommend it to improve the state of living of the participants. Self-enhancement as the sole responsibility of the family to bring fulfillment and confidence, and debriefing to teach the solo parents participants to handle personal stress. Problem 3, what intervention program we propose as a result of the findings? They understood the experiences of 10 categories of solo parents in managing their family life and facing the challenges they have encountered in life, in leave management, family and moral management, financial management, spiritual management. In response to their problem, a proposed intervention program was formulated. It is to guide the program participants so that they will be benefited lifetime. The appendices and for consent document to the participant, questionnaire, letters to the following: Mayor of Naga City, Camarines, Department of Social Welfare and Development Office, Naga Head, Naga City Solo Parent Federation Coordinator, Barangay Captain of Concepcion, Naga City, and a Filipino teacher language translator. Thank you.
Okay, I think our session chair is offline. Thank you so much for your presentation. And if anyone has any question, you can come to the Q&A session and we will proceed to the Q&A session later on. And now I think I need to come to call the presenter name. It was, so the next presenter ID is 3439. And let me check whether it is a 439. It is a video presenter. So if you are available, if you still want to present online, you can come to present, but it is, I see it on my screen in the attendance sheet, it's a video presenter. So I will skip this. And the next presenter is 440, a case study on the booming tea tourist industry in India. 440. It's still a video presentation and already sent to the organization to upload it to YouTube channel. So I will skip this one again. And the next presenter is paper ID 450, the implications of climate change for disaster logistics planning in Saudi Arabia. 450, let me see. 450, are you available? 450. Shoghi Suleiman Abu Salman. Abu Suleiman. 450. Paper ID 450. Implications of climate change for disaster logistic planning in Saudi Arabia. The paper title. Are you available? 450. 450 is not available. So we can wait. Let me check. 450 absent. And this is a family done. Yeah. Who's the next one? The next one.
The next one, sorry for
Ali, so we are here. 450 is not available, and now we are moving toward 454, I think. So you can continue, please.
Okay, so the next paper is 454, Attitude Towards Technical and Vocational Education and Training.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
All right, good. Because I'm using two devices as a backup, just in case that my line is not okay, please let me know. All right, I'm sharing you the screen now. Okay. Okay, I will start. Hi, my name is Rosena Shari, so I will be the presenter for this paper. Okay. Right, so there are 4 authors for this paper. The title is attitude towards technical and vocational education and training, or TVET, examining the effect of behavioral insights approach. So the flow of the presentation will be the author's biography, followed by abstract, introduction, methodology, findings, and last but not least is conclusion. So me, myself, let me brief a little bit about all the authors. So Rosanna Syari is from University Technology Malaysia. So I have academic background in human resource management and human resource development. And currently I'm an associate professor at the Faculty of Social Science and Humanities, University Technology Malaysia. Sorry. Specializations in HRD and assessment in HR, and research interest in manpower studies, training development, organizational learning, and knowledge sharing. The other colleagues, Azrinia Sarip and Muhammad Abdillah, also come from the same university, University Technology Malaysia, and the same faculty with me. So they are the lecturer at the same faculty, which is Faculty of Social Science and Humanities, University Technology Malaysia. Azrinia Sarip's specializations and field of study is in human resource management, whereby Muhammad Abdillah Royo is in technical and vocational education. Last but not least is the fourth author, which is Muhammad Zurat Harun. So he's coming from he works as a teacher at the College Vocational Tanjung Puteri, Malaysia, in background technology and education. Right, let me brief a little bit about the whole, the abstract of this study. So actually this study examines the secondary students' attitude, opinion, or perceptions, or their state of mind towards TVET. So we have issues on the public perceptions of 3D illusions, means that the dangerous and difficult that affect Malaysian future aspirations for TVET. Right, because there's a paradox or dilemma holds the potentials of human resources, specifically those in the secondary schools, and affect their ability to make informed decisions regarding the subjects they wish to study at the university and the profession.
Sorry, all other users. There is a background noise, so please mute yourself, please.
All right, shall I continue? Okay, because there's noises coming from the others viewers. All right, and then the purpose of this study is to understand why secondary school students do not value skills education as a means to enhance their career prospects, despite its potential as a professional training ground. Right, and then the methods that we use is a behavioral insight approach. Right, so we obtain 123 students' perceptions of TVET through a survey, whereas the second phase is conducted using the experimental study, where we have 100 participants, and it is divided equally into a control group and also the actual group. And then we have the results, the overall results regarding the low level of negative attitudes towards TVET. And the conclusions of the study indicate that the TVET literacy can reduce negative perceptions of TVET and encourage more after-school students to pursue TVET and join the pool of skilled workers. So about the introduction, so actually Malaysia, we have difficulty and issues about we are not achieving the target or the goal towards 50% of Malaysia workforce they have to be skilled workers. So the status currently until 2020, the rate is still 28%. So number one issue is regarding the shortage of skilled workers, regardless of, we understand that the importance of Industrial Revolutions 4.0, but we're having the shortage of skilled workers to support these goals. Second issues is about public perceptions in Malaysia, because as we compare to the other successful country, in TVET, such as Germany, Singapore, so public perceptions about 3D illusions, which is dirty, dangerous, and difficulties, has reduced the enrollment in TVET program among our society. So that's why regarding this study attempts to see how attitude change can be done using the behavioral insight. Why we focus on the attitudes? Because based on the literatures, attitudes referring to the mind and perceptions, intention, habits. So we need to change this, because the way people whether they want to support or not support, accepting or not accepting towards TVET is start from their attitude, their perceptions. So using the behavioral insights, we try to assume, we assume that it can change and or modify the behavior towards TVET. So in this study, we use integrative model by 3. Number 1 is Bandura social learning theory, Mahani's cognitive and affective theory or concept, and also Jackson theory of planned behavior, because we understand that people behave in a reasonable way based on their belief, attitudes, and intentions, and also thoughts about feelings, which in turn affect behavior. So based on the cognitive and affective element, this study builds a behavioral insights module that influences the expected attitude of being positive toward TVET, which is this will be elaborated later because we are using also the experimental study. And during the experimental study also, based on that model or module that we developed as the intervention in the experimental, we intend to stimulate desired behavior through models or the guide. So that's why we use these 3 integrative model, and we come up with a baseline study to understand what I have elaborated. So I will continue later about this. Okay, this one, regarding the baseline. So it's an adaptation by this author, 2015 batch. So actually the perceptions of TVET varies from person to person, and those perceptions can affect TVET's current image and the status, okay? Because regardless of government has come up with so many initiatives to promote TVET in our country. So however, there are some issues about perceptions. So TVET education is taught as of something for dropouts, unintelligence, and other achievers. So these are their perceptions. A lot of TVET promotion initiative through newspaper, magazine can be said that they are failed to get students to choose TVET because of misconceptions about it. So therefore, we propose that literacy on TVET will reshape individuals' mindset toward TVET's image and benefits. So students' mindsets after taking a TVET junior workshop can affect other students who are still reluctant to take a skills education as an alternative to academic education. So with this baseline study, the researcher want to establish a more righteous image of TVET by using behavioral insights. So this is the methodology that we've used for this paper or this study. So the population that we targeted is upper secondary school student, Form 4 students only age 16. So they're coming from the vocational stream. The approach that we use is actually there are 2 phases. One is preliminary survey using 381 sample, and we have second stage is experimental using the behavioral workshop, which the name of the workshop is TVET Junior. We develop the module and we run it to the actual participant, because we have 100, we break up into control and also the actual group. So we used the survey perceptions of TVET related jobs. We use 8 items. So actually the whole paper only present partial results of the whole studies, right? Whereby the second phase, which is the experimental, we use the pre and post test, the instruments developed by using all these 3 authors. As you can see, we emphasize presenting the findings only on the attitudes towards TVET's curriculum and goals. We have 32 items. We have roles, 9 items, and general perceptions, 5 items. Whereby the analysis, we're using 2 types. One is descriptive and the other one is the test, in order to achieve the objective of this paper. So this, the first preliminary study is on the characteristic of the study participants. Actually, the demographic dominated by male and also Malay. So the demographic characteristic, as you can see in the table 1, is actually we only managed to collect 123 because of the time constraint and also the cooperations from the schools to collect the questionnaire, right? And then the table 2, this is emphasized on the perceptions of the TVET, all right, regarding the TVET related jobs. So actually the respondent were asked to rate their agreement with TVET related jobs on a 4-point Likert scale ranging from 1, which is strongly disagree, to the 4, strongly agree. So the overall mean indicated a moderate level of perceptions. Most respondents believe that TVET related jobs are difficult to obtain, with a mean agreement level of 3.32, right? For moreover, more than half of respondents believe TVET jobs are difficult, and nearly half of them still believe TVET jobs are hazardous. So a few respondents believe that TVET jobs are not popular, uncomfortable to work in, and there's a little future for them. So the next finding is on the experimental study. As you can see in the table 3, so there are 3 TVET areas were measured: curriculum and goals, TVET roles, and general perceptions. So both pre and post test of the actual group had significant differences in aspects such as curriculum and goals, as well as TVET's role. And a comparison of pre-test and post-test result for the control group did not reveal any significant differences. However, we can, and then on the other hand, a significant difference existed between the actual and control groups regarding curriculum and goals, as well as TVET's role in both groups. So what can be concluded here is that the study examined students' attitude to TVET jobs and aspect of TVET's curriculum and goals, roles, and general perceptions of TVET among nation upper secondary students, and shown that employability was a significant factor. So the observed group had significant attitudes changes before and after receiving interventions. So our findings led us to recommend the following measures. Number 1, the use of 3 learning phases constituting TVET literacy and cognitive development, which is knowing and understanding, application or practice, and evaluation. Second one, a teaching and learning delivery centered around problem solving, which led to exploration and exploitation because pre-test showed unawareness and low levels of TVET understanding. Regardless of all the participants here are those who have the what we call vocational streams educations, but still there are issues on the perceptions. It resulted in negative perceptions of TVET and a loss of interest in skills education. So there must be a change in their perception and attitude toward TVET before any other government initiative are taken to encourage young people to pursue TVET as a good career choice. So this research is funded by Ministry of Higher Education under Fundamental Research Grant Scheme, FRGS, with that stated registration proposal number. With that, thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you for such a presentation about the attitude towards the technical and vocational education. Well, we have to move to the next presenter, which paper ID is 458, Differences in National Culture in Terms of Organizational Demography. If you're available, please share your screen and proceed.
Yes. Hello, Dr. Shaker.
Yes, please.
This share, I'm share. You can see.
Yes, it's visible. Please proceed.
Yes. Wait. Okay. My article name, Differences in National Culture in Terms of Organizational Demography, Collectivist and Individual Avoidance Values. I'm Nasr Mohammadi, and I'm participating in Iran, and I finished my master in Turkey. And I wrote this article with accompanied my supervisor, Dr. Işık Çiçek. We discuss abstract, including purpose, importance, design, methodology, finding, originality. The purpose of article, cultural values. Cultural values are significantly affected by social life and change over time. Collectivism, individualism, and avoiding the values of uncertainty, which are two cultural dimensions, can be assessed at different levels for different countries today, depending on the change in social life. The COVID-19 pandemic has led people to social isolation due to the closure and observance of physical distance. It contains an unpredictable answer to how the mentioned factor change the tendency to avoid uncertainty. In this research, the amount of collectivism and the values of uncertainty avoidance in social life in Iran have been investigated. Importance of this article, the adoption of a different lifestyle from the previous generations, such as the Z generation in the world, causes different value orientation and developed behavioral norms in social life. These factors, such as development in technology, the effect of the internet and the creation of virtual life and the COVID pandemic in the world, which significantly affect individual lives, have also affected communities and lifestyle of individuals at different scales. The comfort that new technology provide in human life, for example, home office work, commerce, online work, and education, push people towards a more individualistic value orientation. I discuss design methodology, finding originality. The end of my slides. National culture. National culture is the set of values, beliefs, behaviors, customs, traditions, arts, and artifacts that characterize the identity of a particular country or nation. National culture encompasses a wide variety of aspects that define the way people think, feel, and behave. National culture is influenced by various factors such as geography, climate, history, politics, economy, education, and religion. We use a Hofstede cultural dimension in this article. Power distance, this dimension refers to the extent to which a society accepts unequal distribution of power. In high power distance cultures, people accept and expect an unequal distance of power, distribution of power, whereas in low power distance culture, people strive for equal distribution of power. This dimension refers to the degree to which a society feels threatened by ambiguity or uncertainty. In high uncertainty avoidance culture, people prefer clear rules and a guideline, whereas in low uncertainty avoidance cultures, people are more comfortable with uncertainty and ambiguity. Individualism, collectivism. This dimension refers to the degree to which a society prioritizes individuals' goals over group goals. In individualistic culture, people are expected to focus on their own self-interests, while in collectivistic cultures, people are expected to prioritize the goals of their group or community. Masculinity or femininity. This dimension relates to the extent to which a society values traditionally masculine traits such as assertiveness and competitiveness versus traditionally feminine traits such as empathy and cooperation. Long-term orientation and short-term orientation. This dimension related to the extent to which a society values long-term planning, perseverance, and a focus on future rewards versus short-term thinking and immediate gratification. Restraint. This dimension refers to the extent to which a society allows for gratification of basic human drives related to enjoying life and having fun. In indulgent cultures, people are more likely to enjoy life and allow for self-expression, whereas in a restraint culture, people are expected to surpass their desire and show self-control. Organizational demography. Organizational demography is the study of the numerical characteristic of individuals in an organization, including their age and race, ethnicity, education, and other relevant factors. This field focuses on understanding how these demographic characteristics impact organizational outcomes such as performance, turnover, and employee satisfaction. Methodology and analysis. We use convenience sampling 393 individuals from the company's service sector, Hofstede scale, and organizational demography. Data collection, collectivist scale and uncertainty avoidance scale, reliability statistics, and significant difference in collectivism values with research has shown that in Iran, there is a significant relationship between collectivism values and their relationship
Hello?
Hello, excuse me, my connection.
Okay, so you can move to the conclusion if you want to finish it.
Yes. Data collection. Research has shown that in Iran, there is significant relationship between collectivist values and the relationship with age, gender, and length of time spent in a subordination position with their first manager. Based on the research, it appears that there is not a significant relationship between collectivist value and relationship with educational in Iran. And we discuss significant and uncertainty avoidance. There is a significant relationship between uncertainty avoidance and relationship with education, gender, and age in Iran. The relationship with internal position refer to an employee's position and level within a company or organization. While Iranian culture values stability and structure, there is less emphasis placed on an individual position within a company or organization. Findings in the research difference in age, gender, hierarchical position within the organization and the working time with the first manager, which express the organizational demographics, differentiate the value of collectivism and the tendency to avoid uncertainty. Collectivist value orientation was not evaluated differently in terms of education level. Conclusion, evaluation of social values may also differ for business or institution as an example of sub-society. The result influence societal dynamic in creating desired values and norms within institution. Differences in organizational demographics may also cause these values to be experienced at different levels and may play a role that will affect social life closely, such as corporate culture in enterprises. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Professor, are you available? Dr. Ali? Dr. Ali, can you hear me? Hello? Okay, thank you for your presentation. And I think Dr. Ali has a problem in internet. Okay, national culture. So the next presenter is 459. 459. Let me see. 459
Afternoon.
is a video presentation. 459. And he already sent a video and we will upload to our YouTube channel. You can see it there. Yeah, so the next presenter is 461. The paper title is Africa Turning East, World System Analysis of China Economic Hegemony in Sub-Saharan Africa. Taufik Saridani, if I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name.
Ariyaddin.
Okay, 461. 461. Can you please proceed to your presentation?
All right. Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, wherever you may be. Let me begin my presentation by sharing my screen with you. Okay, is my screen visible?
Yes, please.
All right. So my presentation is entitled Africa Turning East, a World Systems Analysis of China's Economic Hegemony in Sub-Saharan Africa. So a bit about me. I'm a Lebanese PhD graduate from Nagoya University in Japan. My articles have appeared in the Journal of Systems Analysis, as well as online magazines such as The Diplomat and The Geopolitics. I've also appeared on the China Unscripted podcast and the Who Save America podcast. The former is on YouTube. My framework of choice is World Systems Analysis, and my focus is on China's Belt and Road Initiative and its impact on the Middle East and North Africa, but also in general. Unfortunately, the abstract I submitted, I can't find it. This is a new laptop. It must be on the old laptop, but this is kind of an idea of what the abstract was about. To address literature on US-China hegemonic competition, this paper examines the properties of China in sub-Saharan Africa, which pertain to the features of economic hegemony per world systems analysis, and how it compares to the US and regional powers, France and South Africa. Economic dominance is defined as being comprised of production, trade, and then financial dominance, and in that order. We find that Beijing has been successful in besting competitors in production and trade dominance, including BRICS partner South Africa, but remains unable to seize financial dominance due to structural barriers as well as its own wariness on propagating the yuan beyond its control. So we're all familiar with the Belt and Road Initiative, I believe. It is a massive infrastructure plan by Beijing, which aims to connect most of the developing world through China built and manufactured infrastructure such as railways, ports, and so on. Of course, with that comes increased economic integration. We've seen more Belt and Road countries buying goods from Beijing, and bilateral trade between the BRI states and China is increasing year on year. The framework I'm using is World Systems Analysis, which sees the world as one interconnected market of economic processes and areas rather than separate states. And this is very applicable to the BRI because the BRI aims to make all these different states and all these different countries one regional interconnected market that stretches from East Asia all the way down to South Asia, and then the Middle East, of course, by way of East Africa, and then finally to Europe. So it's creating a massive Eurasian integrated market, and it splits these areas and these processes into core, semi-periphery, and periphery. Whereas, of course, the higher yield a product provides to trade, the more valuable it is, and so it's higher in the core. It's more of a core industry. Like the production of cars is a core industry because cars are expensive and cars make a lot of profit for car companies, whereas the production of minerals is a peripheral process because it does not make much money for exporters, and semi-peripheries are in between. Hegemons and peripheries throughout history have had distinct features. The first hegemony, of course, was the United Provinces, which is modern-day Netherlands. It and the United Kingdom and the current hegemonic United States have all had distinct features, but economically they all shared the same features, which I'll explain later, and which I think pertain to China within sub-Saharan Africa. In this definition, development is the phasing out of low-yielding industries by core states to peripheries. So when states outsource industries, they're doing this because it's no longer feasible for them to do it through local labor. It's more feasible for example, for other countries to produce clothes than for the United States to produce clothes, for example. And so this is the kind of development that the world systems analysis talks about, or defines it as such. This is why you will never see superconductors as part of development programs, for example, for sub-Saharan Africa, because superconductors right now are a high-yielding industry, and the core states do not want that to escape from their power. So the features of economic hegemony per world systems analysis are the following. Excuse me. In the top of the pyramid here is you have to have significant investment. If we recall, after World War II, through the Marshall Plan, the US aided Western Europe massively after World War II by sending it a lot of aid and investing heavily. It also conditioned this investment on using American products and American labor. So yes, we will help you rebuild your cities, but you have to use American products and you have to use American labor, and you have to give us trade concessions. This is what the United States did to Europe and Southern Europe, especially Greece and Turkey, and arguably what China is doing through the Belt and Road Initiative, because it employs Chinese laborers to do a lot of the projects, and it's done through Chinese products as well. This is part of peripheralization, or turning a state into a periphery of another stronger state. The components of economic hegemony, meanwhile, are production dominance, trade dominance, and financial dominance. So, as I said before, significant investment. If we look at comparing foreign direct investment between the US and China in sub-Saharan Africa, we find that while China's investment has not increased substantially, US investment has dropped. And so China has maintained its interest in sub-Saharan Africa, and now it has an advantage over the US there. So it is fulfilling this part of these features. If you compare China to other strong or core states investing in sub-Saharan Africa, we find that China is still fifth when it comes to overall FDI sent to sub-Saharan Africa in general. China has only been an investor, of course, a very heavy investor since the last decade, whereas France and the UK and the Netherlands have been investing since the last century. But despite this, China's investments have brought it to fifth place. It has surpassed South Africa, It has surpassed South Africa, which is the regional power there. And it's interesting because South Africa is thought of as being a regional hegemon of sub-Saharan Africa. Many authors argue this. It's part of the thesis on multipolarity that says that eventually hegemony is going to make way for these regional hegemons like the BRICS states, South Africa, Brazil, China, Russia. But the fact that China is beating even South Africa here means that no, actually South Africa may not be hegemonic in sub-Saharan Africa. It may be China instead. So as we can see, only China and the UK have increased their FDI stock overall to sub-Saharan Africa, whereas the USA, France, and the Netherlands have all decreased. Now, production dominance is when a state exports high-yielding products at a cheaper price than the competition and of a higher quality than the periphery. So basically it has export superiority. China has achieved this in sub-Saharan Africa because sub-Saharan Africa's imports of machine technology from China is increasing substantially, even though its overall imports of these are not increasing per se. The source of these has increasingly been China, at the expense of USA, France, Germany, South Africa. Of course, this is because of low purchasing power of sub-Saharan Africa, but this also gives China a greater foothold in the region. The region is very dependent on China for its manufactured finished goods. Another feature of trade dominance is that eventually this area is routing its exports also towards the new hegemon. So as we can see here, whereas China was number 2 behind the United States in the export destinations from sub-Saharan Africa, it was replaced by China in 2011, and despite fluctuation, it has remained the case. So China is both the number 1 source of imports and exports for sub-Saharan Africa. And of course, sub-Saharan Africa is going to export its raw material, its metals, its oil, its gold, which China needs to keep producing this infrastructure and this technology, which is giving it a huge advantage in trade, as we're about to see. So trade dominance occurs when the preponderant hegemon secures a favorable trade balance, so a trade surplus essentially, with its precipitating peripheries. And if we look at the trade balance of sub-Saharan Africa with major trade partners, we see that China, which started at a deficit in the beginning of 2010 with sub-Saharan Africa, achieved a large surplus in 2015, achieved a large surplus and maintained this highest surplus among other participants, including South Africa, including France and the USA, and managed to maintain this surplus superiority well into this decade. So China has achieved the most favorable balance of trade with sub-Saharan Africa, including the EU, which we're about to see later. Second component of trade dominance per the literature is that the periphery will tend to be included in a particular zone of influence or a tariff zone. So they'll have free trade agreements with the coming hegemon. The USA does have this with sub-Saharan Africa. It has the Africa Growth and Opportunities Act. Unfortunately, only 36 out of 49 SSA countries are part of this agreement because some have grown to the point of economic development that makes them not need this anymore. And others have simply chosen to opt out of this agreement because it is contingent on respecting human rights and the rule of law. And as we know, certain developing countries, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, are ruled by strongmen who do not really care for respecting human rights. And so they'd rather opt out, and they see in China a partner that will aid them economically without any conditions on human rights or democracy or frankly, the rule of law. So this renders the effectiveness of this free trade agreement with the United States in decline. China does not have a free trade agreement with sub-Saharan Africa. It only has one with Mauritius. But sub-Saharan Africa, being more economically integrated, will I argue, assist in this, will fulfill the purpose of a free trade agreement with China to begin with. Because for Africa to keep developing, it needs infrastructure. And China is Africa's #1 source of infrastructure. And so this kind of integrates sub-Saharan Africa into one neat market, so China can deal with it on a bilateral level. Now, when it comes to financial dominance is of 2 components. And it is the last phase of economic dominance. Financial dominance, the features of it are that 1, more money is entering the new hegemon than leaving. This goes back to classical development dependency theory, which always illustrates that more capital and raw material is entering the core then is leaving the core to the periphery. So the core is always taking more from the periphery than it's giving back. And this is via trade and via loans. If we look at this first component here, China has the largest trade surplus in 2021, as we saw previously. The US has a lower trade surplus.
Sorry for interruption. You have 2 minutes more, so please.
No problem. Yes. whereas the EU has had a combined 4 billion euro trade surplus, which is still lower than China. So China ticks this box over here through not only its trade surplus, but also its lending. China's loans through the BRI are at 4 or 6% interest and over 10-year periods on average, whereas those of the IMF or other lending organizations are more lenient. So China extracts more revenue through trade, finished projects, and loans. However, the second component, which is the banks obtaining greater control of the periphery's financial resources, the currencies of sub-Saharan Africa are pegged to the euro and the dollar. China does not have any pegs in sub-Saharan Africa, and this, I argue, in addition to the IMF and the World Bank being under U.S. supervision, keeps China from achieving financial dominance and keeps it from achieving overall economic dominance in sub-Saharan Africa. So the conclusions are China's investment remains low compared to established powers. As we saw, it was 5th place. China has achieved production dominance. It has achieved trade dominance. However, structural boundaries and Beijing's wariness are preventing financial dominance and then economic hegemony. Thank you very much. These are my references.
Well, thank you very much for your presentation. It was really helpful about what prospects of China and the US. So we're gonna move to the next presentation. The paper ID is 461. Africa turning east, a world system analysis to China's economy.
Yeah, this was the presentation of comparative analysis. So this is the final one, but one presentation remain. That is of paper ID 422, Amalia. Are you still available, and you have no internet issue? And if you can come to present your PPT. Amalia 422. I think it's absent, still absent. So those who are unable to present here live on Zoom, they can send their PPTs in the video format for 10 minutes, and we can upload it to our YouTube channel. And later I will share the YouTube link. Okay, so I think all are done and there is no remaining presentation. Am I right, Dr. Ali?
Yes, according to me, more or less all are done.
Okay, all are done except one and except 402. 402 is still absent. 402, Chandra Bauman. 402. Okay, so I think it's done. And thank you so much for participating in this session. And yes, if it's possible for you, you can open your cameras if you want. Yeah, so yeah, thank you so much, all the participants. And I hope you all enjoyed the session with us. And the conference and session was quite awesome. And now we are coming toward the Q&A session. Am I right, Dr. Ali? Hello?
Yeah, I think we have to move to the Q&A session. And as well, if someone has any question from the presenter, they can also ask. If you have any question regarding our organization or your publication, you have to ask from Dr. Shakir. Thank you.
Yeah, but first we will go to the Q&A session for our presentation. So if you have any question from any participants, you can ask now, or if you have any suggestion for them, yeah, that will be great. So any questions first from the participants? I just observed few papers and I have some questions in mind. And if you have no question, then I will go first. Yeah. Okay, so my first question is from 431 Nakita. And I
Yes, sir.
really appreciate your study. It's about the education and historical analysis regarding education from 1830s to 1910 in the colonial and the post-colonial state treatment toward people regarding education. And you said some marginalized communities, especially Muslims, but I didn't see that there are more marginalized communities in India, more marginalized than Muslims, that are Dalits and other outcast people. Did you include these people in your studies?
Thank you for the question, sir. I have included women, depressed class, and as well as Muslim in my study. I will include all the outcast in the region. For they are compiled in the one title, that is depressed class. Women is also in the marginalized section, as well as Muslim. I have included these three sections in my study.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And yeah, you said that the post-colonial Indian state didn't change their policies, but I heard
No,
that they, yeah.
no. I worked on basically on the. I'm not worked on. I have not worked on the post-colonial. I have totally worked on the colonial, and I have criticized the colonial policy in that only.
Okay, okay. So you are just
Yes.
working on colonization
Because
and
from the Indian timeline, 1947 is the post-colonial phase. That is after independence. Okay, fine.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So my time period is 1835 to 1910. It is basically before mutiny, that is 1857, before transfer of the under the crown, and then East India Company period as well as the colonial period. I'm not working on the post-colonial. My time period is just because my time period is very transitional phase. It is from coming from the Mughal period and starting of the East India Company as well as merger with the colonial period. So I'm working on this transition phase basically. This is the most important critical point of my study. I have taken this time period. This is the landmark because in 1911, Delhi became the capital for the first time in the history. So after 1911, every scenario of the Delhi got changed. But in 1835, Delhi is completely like when we compare with the other presidencies like Calcutta, Madras, and Mumbai, Delhi's education system is completely on the backside. So 1835 to 19, and this time period is completely understudied in the historiography trends by the revisionists or traditional historians, anybody you can call. And most of the documents are also not available before the 1857. So I have taken this time period as well as.
yeah, there's a good paper, a manuscript. And do you
Thank you.
want to go for Scopus or peer review international journal?
I'm in the final stage. I have already got published 2 of my papers, so I will send this for this another paper for this publication, not this paper, because I'm working on the production of knowledge through test book. I want to
You
publish
just want to
that.
present it. You don't want to go for publication for this manuscript.
For this, I want this presentation, but for the next, I go for presentation. Surely, definitely.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so the next one is 438, Jessamai. Yeah, it's quite interesting study, and I was just wondering that you mentioned about solo people, but I didn't know whether solo is a minority in the Philippines or it's what kind of group of people is this. And I also didn't see the analysis part in your paper. And if you want to publish your paper in any peer review journal, you need to include specific analysis section in your manuscript. Then it will be able to move to the peer review. process. So yeah,
Okay, sir.
I have.
Noted for the analysis. But when it comes to the solo parents in the Philippines, it has an organization here, and the 10 solo parents that I have interviewed came from the agency of the DSWD here in the Philippines, and I base it in the phenomenological studies, phenomenological or the recent experiences of the solo parents here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, the last paper was quite important regarding the hegemonic competition among hegemonic power in the world, like USA, and nowadays China is entering this circle to increase China influence in countries, especially through BRI, Belt and Road Initiative, in South Asia and Africa. Yeah, we all know, and there are a lot of research paper, books, and many things published on in this area. And it's quite interesting for me, and I want to know whether you are only working on the finance, trade, and business side, or are you also trying to dig out the cultural or political and other aspects that these countries, these hegemonic powers want to increase their cultural influence politically, and that's we call it cultural imperialism. And we know that United States, United Kingdom, and all other European power already have their cultural imperialism in the political, socio-cultural, and political structures of these countries. So I just want to know whether you are also working in this area or not.
Thank you for the excellent question. Yes, culture, well, according to World Systems Analysis, cultural hegemony is a component or a feature of hegemony overall. It's composed of the language of the hegemon becoming propagated outside its borders. That's why we're speaking in English right now. And that's why West Africans speak French and Latin Americans speak Spanish. In addition to the education of the hegemon becoming the most attractive, Pakistan is a great example. Pakistani students now, most of them who want to study abroad go to China. They're not going to the UK or to Canada or the US anymore. They're going to China now. And finally, education, language, and also, of course, media and the news. So China's very new to kind of propagating its culture and making itself popular for the common man. It's very good on the economic side, but none of us here can name like a Chinese hit song, for example. We know many English hit songs, but China has not been able to kind of penetrate the cultural attractiveness yet. It's doing this through training journalists in South and Southeast Asia, but also in Sub-Saharan Africa. It's taking these fresh journalism graduates, giving them training in Beijing, and setting up news channels in many countries in order to propagate news the way Beijing sees the news and the way Beijing wants the news to be reported. I would like to very much pursue research on this. For the time being, I'm trying to see what can be done that is not expensive, because if I want to do this kind of really rigorous cultural research, I have to go to the states in question and do polling, and possibly I need a researcher. So I'm very interested in doing this. I want to do it in the Middle East because I do speak Arabic and I do have contacts there. I'm also very interested in China's impact on how liberal or how conservative states can remain, especially when it comes to things like women's rights and the law regarding women's rights. In addition to LGBT rights, Uganda recently passed a law that makes it criminal to be homosexual in Uganda. And I think that if China were not such a growing economic player, Ugandan government may not have done such a bold move that clearly would offend the liberal West. So certainly culture is a big part of it, and I do look forward to doing more research on that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's good. And one thing I also want to know that you are researching this financial influence in the expansion to other countries from China side. So what difference did you observe in these countries? Because the other colonial powers, players such as United Kingdom, USA, they are very aggressive and they sometimes go for distraction and other things in order to expand their financial influence in these countries. But what do you think about China, whether China is following the same path, example or not? Are they
Well,
peaceful?
right, yes. Of course, the colonial powers got their prosperity by force from Africa, from former colonies. Their influence there was not earned; it was forced. China's influence there is being voluntary. It's voluntary. It's not an imposed influence. If you see a product that's cheaper and at the same quality than the competition, you're going to buy that cheaper product. You know what I mean? Unless you have a personal hatred of the source. Like if North Korea came out with a electric vehicle that's $1,000, some people would buy it, even though most people hate North Korea. So ultimately, it's the people, it's the individual choices and the markets that are making this, that are kind of welcoming China in. But also, there's something to be said about corruption also helping this. There are many instances of Chinese labor or factories that China supervises in sub-Saharan African countries that have low standards in terms of respecting labor, respecting workers. So it's not that much better than colonial powers. Now, I'd argue that former colonial powers are more respectful in that way. They're still exploitative, yes, but they're a bit more respectful. But China's a lot more. It's not perfect. It also has made mistakes, and it's also being aggressive. The Congolese president recently came out and complained a lot about how Chinese cooperation has not helped his country very much. However, other countries within sub-Saharan Africa have said, no, actually cooperation has really helped me. Zambia got a lot of infrastructure built because of China, but these go back to what China is getting out of them. It's not building infrastructure for the sake of building infrastructure. It's doing it because it gets to export its products. It gets to give countries debt. And this debt is, if it's not paid financially, it's paid back in raw material. There's actually a mechanism by which China gets a lot of raw material through these debts, which again are worse and under worse conditions than debts from the World Bank or the IMF. Even though they have no contingencies regarding how a state should conduct its finances. Like the IMF always proposes austerity measures, cuts in public spending, blah, blah, blah. Chinese loans do not say any of that. But they do say that, okay, if you can't pay this back to me, then I want something very, very valuable in return. We've seen the port in Sri Lanka being taken as an example. So it's not better than the colonial powers, but China has shown more enthusiasm to invest there at a time when former colonial powers have not invested as much in recent times.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it's quite interesting for me, especially personally for me.
Thank you.
So what do you want to do with this manuscript? You want to publish it, or you just wanted to present it here and you may keep it for...
Actually, I don't really know much about the journal of the conference. I tried to look it up, but I couldn't find its name, so I couldn't find its impact factor. I'm still writing the paper as we speak. It's still not finished because I've been busy with many things. But if I could know the journal impact factor and name, then it could be one of the places I send to for publication.
Yeah, so if you are interested in this journal, if 1000 research is a scope SQ1 journal, and the process is quite easier, I will suggest you to submit it here through our gateway, and you will also get a discount of 200 in $360, not $200, $360 if you want to publish with us through IIARP. Yeah, that's quite interesting paper. That's why I suggest you to publish in F1000 research. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions regarding conference, regarding IIARP, regarding publication, regarding other things? Any other questions? Okay, so if no questions, so I hope that you all enjoyed today's conference. And it was really great experience with all of you. And thank you so much for participating in this conference. And I saw that all the presenters, all the participants have very good research ideas and good efforts for the best. And all the papers data was supported by good methodologies and theoretical frameworks, literature, and achievable objectives. But still there need to be checked for improvements before sending it to the journals, such as a peer-reviewed international journal. And you can ask for assistance if you want to publish in journals, and our team will be available anytime for the assistance in terms of publication and all other things. Yeah, so here I'm sharing the YouTube channel link in the chat box, that all other papers are already uploaded here, and you can go here to check our PPTs. Yeah, this is the YouTube channel, and please subscribe it for upcoming conferences, especially online conferences. Yeah, and those participants, especially Malia and other participants who were not able to present live, they can send their video PPTs to this email address. I'm sharing the email address here in the chat box. This is our email address. You can send your video PPT and we will upload it to this YouTube channel. And I have to mention that our respected session chairs, including Dr. Ali and all other reviewers, evaluated every presentation, both the YouTube presentation and the live Zoom presentation. And later on, you will receive an email with the notification of the award winner. And you will also receive your certificate for certificate of participation in this conference and your proceedings. And I'm also sharing our Facebook page link. You can like it for the upcoming conferences, journals, and other information that will be beneficial to all of you. You can click here on this YouTube, this Facebook page, and you can like and follow it for the upcoming valuable information. Yeah, and here again, I'm sharing our WhatsApp number because maybe you have questions after the conference, so you can add this WhatsApp number and we will add you to our WhatsApp group, and you will get a lot of good information regarding publication and regarding journals and other conferences, workshops, and other activities. So this is our WhatsApp number. And in the last, I just want to have a short survey, and I want to know from you that how did you know about this conference and about this organization? Maybe you got the information from your colleague or from Facebook or from Google or from other sources. So can you please mention it in the chat box that we may know about the source of information for IIARP conferences? Can you please share in the chat box? I'm waiting for your replies. Okay, email invitation. Thank you, internet. Email, thank you. Facebook, thank you. Okay, from a university colleague, thank you. What other? What other sources? I just received 4 responses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Still. Okay, Facebook from my thesis advisor. This is not my mentor. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Any other responses? Did you want to share with us? Thank you.
Sorry, Dr. Shakir, may I ask something regarding the publication?
Yes, please.
All right. Regarding the Q1 Scopus publication, so it's a compulsory to have the ethics statement, right? So what if that from our university we don't have that approval from the university, because like our case, UTM, we are just having the committee. So the research that I have started is earlier than the committee set up in our university. So can we just come up with a statement why there's no any conflict or ethical issues regarding the data collections involving the participants for our research? Can we just state that?
Here is no ethical committee letter, you mean, and you can take this letter from your supervisor or from your department chairperson or other people. You can just write a letter and sign it. That's enough. There is no need that you must go for the committee signs and ethical formation. No need. So you just need a formal letter from someone like the head of the department or any other responsible person.
All right, thank you very much. It's so helpful.
Okay, any other question regarding the publication, journals, etc.? Okay, so if no question, I will invite our session chair to have the final remarks, and then we will end this session. Dr. Ali, are you available? Dr. Ali?
Yes. Yes, sorry for wait. Yes, Dr. Shakir, I'm available. And at the end, I should say thanks to all of you. Really appreciate your efforts and looking for next conferences to see you all. It was really nice. I learned a lot of things from you people. And I should say, wish you best of luck for your future researches, and hope to see you again. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I shared the email for the contact and the WhatsApp number. So if you have any question, you can come to ask us later after the session, and we will be available for assistance. Thank you. Okay, so bye-bye. And please, one thing, please, sorry. If you can open your cameras and I take group. with your smiley faces, please. Okay, other users? Okay, so maybe I'm take screenshot. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye bye. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you.